All right, everybody. Here we are in Chef Pascal's kitchen again, Kids Culinary School in Bake Austin. And today we're making dinner rolls. It's Thanksgiving, and there's really no reason why you can't help. So here we go. We will need a few things. I'll show you what you will have in tools. We need a large mixing bowl. I always say that you should be able to fit your head in it. That's a good size. And then we need measuring cups, measuring spoons. We will need a rubber spatula, a butter knife, and a pastry brush if you have it. If you don't worry about it. Scissors would be great, and maybe a little bowl, a casserole dish, and a small saucepan, unless you have a microwave and you're allowed to use it. I believe that's it in tools, and we're just gonna dive right into it. And just remember, when you cook with Chef Pascal, you also clean up with Chef Pascal at the same time, so we don't want to leave a big messy kitchen. Okay, the oven is not preheated right now because we still have things to do and the dough has to rise, because this is a yeasted dough and we don't want to waste a bunch of energy. We just let the oven be. I'll remind you when to preheat the oven. Okay, let's get going. So we have our mixing bowl and we're adding 2 cups of all-purpose flour or bread flour, whichever one you have. 2 cups, and the way that I do it is I dip my cup in my container and then just wipe it off. We need 2 cups all-purpose or bread flour, and if you want to make it a little bit healthier, you can use whole wheat flour, but if you do, please do half. Okay, to this we're adding 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt. I'm using Himalayan pink sea salt, but you can use any other salt. 3/4 of a teaspoon, which is your smallest teaspoon, 3 times. Okay, just add that. And then to that we're adding 1 tablespoon of sugar, just regular granulated sugar. 1 tablespoon. I'll set that right behind me because we will not need that again. Okay, so 2 cups of flour, 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt, and 1 tablespoon of sugar. And now we're going to stir that up. So just give it a quick stir. And that is that. Now what I like to do is I'd like to create like a little well in the center of my flour. Now next thing we're going to do is warm up 1 cup of milk. You can use almond milk, oat milk, regular milk, whatever you have. In a pinch you can even do this with water, but I prefer to use milk. And I'm going to measure it out and then put it in my pot, which is right over here, and just set it on like a low heat. 1 second, it is locked and loaded. Here we go. Low temperature, and we're just going to let this warm up, so we don't want to make it too hot. Okay, I'm using oat milk because I don't have any regular milk here. Totally fine. 1 cup warming up, and in the meantime I'm taking 2 tablespoons of butter. This is cold butter, and I'm just measuring out 2 tablespoons. 1 and 2, and I will just drop that right into my milk. We don't really want it to melt, but it'll just soften it up a little bit. Okay, closing my butter, setting it aside for now. We're going to clean that up in just a minute. Always have a towel on hand just to wipe my hands off if I need to. Okay, so that milk and butter is warming up. So what we're looking for is just the temperature of warm. You should still be able to touch the milk with your finger. If it gets too hot, you need to let it cool down a little bit, okay? If you're doing it in the microwave, 30 to 45 seconds. Done. Okay, so my milk is no longer cold. We just want to take the chill out, and I don't know if you cannot see that, but the butter is not melted. The milk is warm, not hot. So if you're worried it's too hot, just kind of hold your hand over it and you should feel a little bit of warmth, but not actual real steam coming off. Now we're pouring that right into the center of our flour bowl. And then to that we're adding 1 egg. So I have my egg here. If you're not really practiced in cracking eggs, I recommend you crack it in a separate bowl first. So I just whack it on the edge, stick my thumbs in that crack and break it open. And then I'll inspect it and make sure that there's no eggshell. Okay, if there's eggshell in there, get your fingers wet and get it out. And now I'm going to drop this egg into the milk and butter mixture. And so obviously if your butter and milk is too hot, your egg would cook, right? So that's why we also don't want it too hot. Now, my friends, we are going to talk about yeast. So yeast, you can use active yeast, dry yeast, instant yeast, any kind of your dry yeast containers that you have. If you have like a little package, don't worry about the brand, okay? You use scissors and cut it open. And if you use a jar or you have like a larger container of yeast granules, it's 2 1/4 teaspoon. 2 1/4 teaspoon. And if you're using a little package, you can just sprinkle that right on top of your milk. And then use your spatula and just give that quick little stir. And then you can stop. Put your spatula in there and leave it alone. And now we're going to clean up real quick, okay? We're just letting this sort of prove to us that it works. So we're just letting the yeast get activated. And in the meantime, we're cleaning up our kitchen. So wash any dishes that you have, like your pot, your little bowl, your measuring cup, your measuring spoons. I think we're done with those. And wipe your counter down real quick. Things that go in the trash, go in the trash. All right, see how fast that is? And the kitchen is almost clean again. So now, if you're looking at your mixture, you should see maybe a few bubbles. If you don't see anything, don't panic, don't worry, it's all gonna work out. The only problem you could possibly have is if your yeast is expired, but most likely it will work and we'll know pretty soon. So just stir it, okay? And we're literally just mixing this all together using your spatula or a wooden spoon. Just break up that egg and mix it all up together. As you can see, I kept my flour out because we'll need extra flour for this recipe. So here we go. We're going to stir this all up. It's really wet, as you can tell, okay? And there's no way we're kneading this dough. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to add some more flour to this. About half a cup of flour. Sprinkle it right on top and mix it up again. Keep mixing it. Keep mixing it. Okay, now it's starting to come together more into a ball. And now we're adding another half a cup of flour right onto the counter. Sprinkle it. Have like some lumps in here. And we're going to add our dough right on top. So hold your bowl to the side and scrape your dough out with your spatula. There we go. I'm going to keep that bowl around because we're going to let our dough rise in it. And now what I'm doing is I'm taking my spatula and I'm picking up the dough and folding it over so that my entire ball of dough is covered with that flour. And then we're going to, let's get all that precious dough off the spatula, and we're going to start kneading it. But here is what I always say, shovel hands. So make sure there is some flour on your hands, okay? And then you're going to use shovel hands, keeping your fingers together. And we're going to just pick it up, keeping your fingers together. The reason why I say that is if your fingers are apart, you might get dough all in between your fingers and then you're losing some precious dough. So keep your fingers together. You're kind of just pressing more than anything at the moment, picking it up. And we're starting to incorporate all that extra flour. So just keep pressing and folding and pressing and folding, and eventually it will not be so sticky. And you just keep kneading it until all that extra flour is incorporated and you have a nice, pliable, soft dough. Okay, but not so soft that it sticks to you. Always add more flour if you have to. Just keep kneading it. So it's starting to stick. Do you see that? So I'm going to add a little bit more flour, like a handful. And it will be different, the types of flour you use and the type of milk you use. So just kind of play it by ear. So a nice smooth dough ball. It's about 100 kneads. So we'll probably fast forward here. If the dough is sticking to your fingers, to your hands, you take some flour and you rub your hands like you're washing your hands with soap, okay? If your dough is really dry and cracking, then what you're going to do is you add a little bit more milk or water to the dough until it becomes a nice smooth dough ball. So here is kind of what we're looking for. I have a dough ball. It's soft, so I can still squish it. There's no cracks, okay? And if I press into it, or when I press into it very gently, it bounces back. And if you kneaded it for about 100 times, you're probably fine. Place your dough ball into your bowl. Cover your bowl with a clean towel, and we're going to clean up this again. You will not need any more flour, so you can put that aside, and you will still need a pastry brush. And if you have any cream or extra milk, or even if you want to do an egg wash, that would be great. We're going to clean up this mess. Okay, and I'll see you on the other side of that. So here we go. Dough is resting. Grab your casserole dish. I'm using one of these. If you don't have an extra casserole dish, don't worry about it. A cookie sheet will work. You can put parchment paper on there, or you can butter your dish, or you can use a spray, or you can use some oil. So look, I'm going to use a little bit of olive oil and just spread it around. This is where the pastry brush comes in super handy. I don't have to wash my hands right away again. So I'm gonna just spread that grease around. I added like about a half a teaspoon, just a little bit, just to coat the sides. It is not swimming. It just helps the bread rolls to not stick to the bottom. Okay? All right, save this. And now, you can let this rest for 10 minutes. So if you need to grab a drink or something, or you went to the bathroom, make sure you wash your hands again. You can totally do that. But I am ready to rock and roll here. So we have to get this table one more time, a little bit dirty. Take your dough ball out very carefully. Okay? Don't knead it too much at this point. Place your bowl in the sink, and the little tip here is run some water in it so it can start soaking. I will use a bench scraper, but a butter knife will also work. Please don't cut your surface. If you're not allowed to cut on the surface, use a cookie sheet. And we're going to cut this dough in half. Okay? Cut the dough in half. All right, we have 2 pieces. Pause at any point you need to, okay? 2 pieces. Now cut each piece in half again. Okay, now we have 4 pieces. Tip, if it sticks to your fingers, use a little bit of flour on your fingers. Now we have 4 pieces. Now cut each piece in half. Okay? See how nice that works with the bench scraper? Okay, now we have 8 pieces, right? Now we're going to cut each piece in half, and then we have 16. And that's where we end. Try to make them sort of all the same size if possible. So if you need to steal a little bit from one piece, that is okay. Just to make them sort of all the same. So 16 pieces of dough. It is a little bit sticky, but I think it'll work. If not, grab a little bit of flour, okay? Don't panic. Now, take each piece, make it into a roll, and then place it into your casserole dish. I'm gonna kind of tilt this maybe a little bit so you can see it better. Okay, it's a one-woman production here. Taking this, rolling it, and then placing it in my casserole dish. Taking it, rolling it, and placing it. I will show you exactly what that looks like. Taking it, rolling it. Okay, so basically they're all in here. I'm gonna arrange them a little bit. So the idea is that each roll has about 1 inch, or 1 finger width apart. Okay, like this. And then I'm going to cover this with my towel again. And if you have like a warm spot, a sunny spot, you can set it right into your sunny spot. And then we're going to clean up our counter, wash our hands, wash our bowl, please. And we let this rest for about 30 minutes until those rolls are doubled in size. So I see you guys in just a little bit. Please set yourself a timer, okay? 30 minutes, sometimes 45 minutes, but 30 minutes should be fine. Warm place, no draft, no peeking, okay, until the timer goes off. And then we see each other again after that. Hello, my friends. So it's been 30 minutes and my buns look amazing. Check it out. Look, they doubled in size. They're touching a little bit now. If yours have not done that yet, please go ahead and just wait a little bit longer. Okay, maybe another 15 minutes. But right now I'm going to go to my oven and I'm turning it on to 375 degrees, and I will make sure that my rack is in the center position. So I'm going to do that. Okay, so now we want to make sure that our buns turn really nice and golden brown. Okay, so the way that you do that is by coating the tops of your buns with either an egg wash, which is just a beat up egg with maybe a little bit of water or milk if you want, or you can use cream or a little extra milk. Just you want a little bit of some fat and some moisture on the top. So I happen to have some cream, and I'm going to just very gently brush the top. Obviously it adds a little bit extra flavor. Okay, I'm going to cover the top again with the towel just to wait until my oven is ready. In the meantime, I'm going to wash this out. Everything else is washed and put up. I hope you did the same thing. Remember, you get to cook a whole lot more if you keep your kitchen clean, my friends. Okay? Take a towel and dry this off. And I will put it away right away. That way I don't have to do it later. One other thing we want to grab is a cooling rack. We want a cooling rack, and then also we need some pot holders, because when these come out, they're going to be very hot and we don't want to burn ourselves. Okay, my oven just told me that it was preheated, so I'm going to remove the towel. And again, check out our buns. I'm going to put them in the oven and they're going to puff up, and I want to bake them until they're nice and golden brown, about 10 to 12 minutes. But just looking for that color is really important, okay? So I'm popping these in. And if you want to change them up a little bit, you could add some sesame seeds on the top before you bake them, or some poppy seeds, or you could even sprinkle some crystallized salt on top. Anything really that you can think of. I mean, you could have fun with some crushed up nuts. I think pistachios would look really pretty, like crushed up. Yeah, and just bake these until they're golden brown, and I will see you in about 10 minutes. So exciting. My timer just went off. It was about 13 minutes for them to turn golden brown, so I'm going to get them now with my hot pot holders, making sure that we don't burn those hands, right? Here we go. And let me position. Ta-da! Here are our bread rolls. Super exciting. Let them cool. Make sure you don't burn yourself. Make sure you turn your oven off and enjoy your homemade bread rolls. Bon appetit. Happy Thanksgiving, and see you another time.